Hi there, my name is Becc. Today I want to talk to you about the Star Council of Light's message for humanity at this time, and also about a message from Angel Gabriel about forgiveness, and they do intertwine. So I have notes to the side if you see me looking over here, and just welcome. Thank you for being here and for connecting. It's really my joy to share this with you. So what I was receiving from the Star Council of Light, I just got the feeling someone wanted to talk to me. That's kind of the psychic feeling that I get. And then there were a bunch of synchronicities with the words like contact us everywhere in my life. I just think that's really cool and interesting how beings communicate with us sometimes. And I sat down to listen to whoever wanted to communicate with me, and it was this Star Council, who are a group of higher dimensional beings made up of the Pleiadians, Sirians, and Arcturians primarily. They are overseen by Elohim beings and other beings, but yeah. So these are beings that really care about humanity, and especially at this time, you know, they can help guide us. So what they were sharing is about what's currently happening in our collective. You will have already noticed is this sense of division. I spoke about this in a previous video, but we're going to continue to talk about it and what to do with it as well. So the Star Council was sharing that this divide that we feel, they said to me, it's not a divide, it's a choice. It's not a divide, it's a choice, and in that way we need to see it like that. That's how we need to see it. It's a choice of living from our heart or living from fear. That is what we're seeing kind of unfolding in Earth and our human collective as well. The more that the situations that are happening in the world happen, the more like restrictions, the effects of all of this stuff is coalescing into bringing people into more fear, basically. At the same time, it's really, we need to maintain focus on why this is happening. So if you are a spiritual being and you're understanding what's happening, what you understand is that there is light hitting the planet so much that the people in power who don't want that light to happen have had to create scenarios that help activate fear in people to maintain control. And basically to stop us from being affected by that light in the way that we naturally are, which is ascension. And ascension looks like living from the heart. That is what we're moving into. So the Star Council were talking about seeing these sort of two sort of aspects of society. As far as timelines go, you are going to continue to see more and more of a divide of people that want to pull away from the unnatural way that we have been living and move into more of a community, tribal expression of ourselves and reconnecting with Earth. All the things you might associate with living from heart and ascension. And the other people are being, as you can see, more brought into fear. There's more expressions of and reliance upon technology and government control, all these different things. So the Star Council were wanting us to see that really what's happening is through our ascension process, and this is natural for all beings that go through an ascension process, which the Pleiadians did, the Sirians did, they all have done, is that vibrating at or embodying the lower dimensional expression of yourself, 3D for example, becomes optional. It's an option. So for instance, when they communicate with us, sometimes they will step down their energy a little bit, into a 5th dimensional level, even though they may mainly be focused in like a 6th or 7th dimensional type of area. That's a good example. And as this choice, this option of vibration and energetic frequency is embodying into us, it looks like what we're seeing now, which is again and again the fear is being pulled up and we're asked to or invited to go with the fear, or purify and step deeper into the heart, because the heart is the energy, primary energy of fifth dimensional consciousness. So we are really in the process of evolution, of ascension. This is an evolution. It's like really amazing when I think about that. Like, yeah, I just lose words. But the guides of the Star Council of Light were saying that choosing which path always becomes optional, and that any moment you can choose to practice coming into your heart center, the place of stillness and 0 point within your field. Because doing this aligns you to higher frequencies that are naturally here, because this is the seat of your higher self, that provide you with balance and a place to have a stillness to then make a choice. So that's why the practice invitation is to keep coming back into your heart area. Yeah, and what we want to understand as well with this transitionary period is that, especially in the spiritual communities, we don't want to be expecting like this sudden dissolution of 3D or this sudden like apparition of 5D. No, what we actually are watching, it's a transition. So 3D doesn't just like dissolve right now, 5D doesn't just come about. We have to become the choice. We become the option. We become the fifth dimensional thing, the fifth dimensional awareness, the fifth dimensional world, Gaia in her oasis form. We formalize it into existence in this way. We have to become it to create it. It's not just going to happen to us. It's not just we're going to wake up and everything's going to be a paradise. We have to become the paradise within. The beings of the Star Council were making an effort to share with the mechanics of how to keep coming back to your heart and the importance or effect of that, I should say. What they were saying is, and pointing out, is that we can dissolve fear with love. When you use the heart energy to saturate your fears in that heart energy, it actually just dissolves. It really does. When you get the hang of it and you trust in it and all those things that have to come with you using your power in a strong, active, confident way to be fully letting it flow and not busy doubting and things, it actually comes into a state of dissolution. It's the process of alchemy. Love, heart energy, all the frequencies in there, like love and peace and wholeness, they all have an alchemical effect, because these lower vibrations, they are, when we can focus the higher vibration, it's more natural that the higher vibration sort of is the one that we go with, that we entrain with, that we take over. The only thing that stops us doing that is that we've kind of lost the hang of it, and we put our focus on the fear, instead of being able to come into that stillness and stepping into the love, and holding our focus in the love in the face of fear. That's the process of alchemy, is to be able to hold these polarities, and with practice and time, kind of wrap the love around the fear to create dissolution. So in this way, we don't force anything. It's not about getting rid of the fear in each other, in ourselves. It's just about becoming aware that we can choose, and then stepping into love and compassion as best we can. We make that offering. That every fear that we have through this cycle, through this transition, these beings we're speaking of, this transition into our ascension, every step of it is an opportunity to create that new world and to dissolve the fear that arises. It's just coming up to be purified. And in this way, this is how we build and create 5D. This is what we're doing. The other aspect of this is about moving through this, and this ties into what Gabriel shared with me a little while ago as well, is about forgiveness. Forgiving yourself, forgiving one another. We cannot repair the injured humanity in us if we are not loving and accepting of the fact that we are human, and we are not totally embracing our wholeness and embodying that yet. We need to forgive each other for being afraid. Forgive yourself for being afraid. Forgive yourself for having conditioning that was, put there by experiences you had in childhood, experiences in your ancestry, in your DNA, experiences that your higher self chose to move through, to come into the light of whatever that experience is. We need to really respect each other's choice. The forgiveness, if we can step into forgiveness, will allow us to respect the choice that, people, for lack of a better way of putting this, people in the 3D will choose, or the people who are in the 3D looking at us in the 5D. We want to have enough sort of awareness and compassion for the fact that we're humanity, we're human, and people are going to make different choices. The divide happens, and the pain of a divide and it not feeling like a choice anymore, the suffering in it comes when we try to change one another, or when we do not accept what someone's choice is, to be fearful or to be controlling, and that manifestation of their fear, controlling. We really want to treat each other with respect and dignity. And the guide said, let go of the figment of our imagination, that we are anything other than worthy and perfect. And we must be kind to each other and ourselves who do not yet know how to love. That's what's happening. Don't yet know how to love. Don't yet know how to feel the fear and step into a willingness to purify it the way that you do. It's pain. It's all pain and suffering. And I know that I have done that with, people. If I get activated into fear, I can become controlling, because that's what the ego does. So let us respect one another's expression of our consciousness, the option, the choice, as best we can. And if it moves you into fear or control or reaction, that others will choose a different choice than you, use it. Use it to step into your heart, pull back into your heart, and dissolve that fear. The guides really want to anchor in that this can be easy. I will say, from a human perspective, initially it takes practice, but it does become easy if we can keep remembering, okay, when I feel fear, come back to my heart. Not getting rid of the fear, not with rejection, but as we said, I feel fear, I allow it to be here with love. My heart allows me to be with things with love and that stillness place of choice. It's the only option. It's the only thing to do with fear that's actually going to help. So we want to know that we are worthy of love. We are worthy of this freedom from our conditioning, my guide is saying now. We have to be wanting to see ourselves as worthy enough to be like, I'm going to face this fear, for example, because you're like, yes, I deserve to be free from suffering. And that belief in our worth will help us to respect one another, and also to believe we are deserving, and therefore help us create this new world. The guides were saying a loving world, brighter now, the new world that we've been dreaming for eons and eons. Like, if you zoom out psychically and you look at this has been ages and ages of time and cycles of time. And we really want to be like, okay, nothing matters more right now than me connecting with my heart, my spiritual essence, and expressing that. Because the choice is here, and you need to make that choice now. Not from pressure or fear, but just from wanting to be in rhythm with the cosmos, wanting to be in rhythm with the light that is here. Because the thing is, and I was thinking about this today, the chaos stuff is a distraction. The fear stuff, it is a distraction from what is actually a great opportunity that the guides are talking about, to pull away from that and utilize the light that is coming in. That means, what we've been expressing, dissolving fear with love. That means being like, okay, this is a time of ascension, and stepping into that energy, being your higher self, focusing on your purpose, whatever your joy is. Let yourself do that, knowing that at this time there's a great kind of just a stronger light of support for that. Things are flowing a little bit easier, a little bit faster, manifesting faster because of that, when you can hold the focus here and not on the chaos and the fear. Because that's the agenda too, is to, constantly distract and constantly activate fear that we can't utilize the light. But if we know better, every time there's fear, I come back to my heart. Every time there's chaos, I'm going to come back to my heart. It's an opportunity. What they want to use to create deception and chaos is my opportunity. Oh, they're doing that? That must mean that there is great light here. And again, just stepping into the knowing that this is a choice. You have the choice. Humanity, for a long time, we haven't even known that we have a choice. But when you do practice this and you come to the heart, you realize, like, okay, mind or heart? Am I in my mind? Am I in my heart? And you'll notice how much you're in here and how that does not really serve your life. And how much when you're in here and you listen to the quiet voice of the heart, intuition, practicing your intuition, you actually become the unfoldment of that life that you wanted and that you've been trying to figure out with your brain. It's amazing. So I'm just checking my notes for what Gabriel wanted to share as well. The main thing for the Star Council was about that choice, okay? That we need to see it as a choice and stop seeing the divide between us as like me against them. And one way to do that is to reframe it as a choice, and that thing about respecting the choice. So I was communicating with the feminine aspect of Gabriel. Angels can express themselves in either aspect or no gender. And he was teaching about forgiveness, that forgiveness is a quality of humbling to the truth that you are human. We are all human. We all have these war wounds and barriers to sacred unconditional love. He was saying that at this time there's a coming home that needs to happen. Return to the center, your heart, whatever you call that, to be here and acknowledge the great beauty that is this life, to be alive, to be alive. When we allow this kind of love to permeate ourselves, we're no longer afraid of ourselves, because that's what really makes it difficult to forgive yourself, is being afraid. And that's what judgment is being afraid. And in judgment, it's the same thing, it's interchangeable, of like, I can't forgive myself because X, Y, Z. Really, there's almost a fear there of what would happen if I said I was okay as I am. What would happen? Is that okay? There's like this fear part that's like, is it really okay if I forgive myself? Because we've been so trained not to think of ourselves as perfect, and if you do that means you aren't taking responsibility, or you're saying something that is wrong is okay. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is acknowledging that you're a person, that you have wounds, and that there's beneath it all is this highest intention and asking of the expression of this life for love. And that there's an innocence in that. There is. For anything and everything that has been done by really people who are very lost, and you in your own life and your own expectations. If you trace it all back, we're just trying to not be so afraid of life. We're just trying to return to love and wholeness. And there is an innocence in there. And we need to, in the acknowledgement of that innocence, okay, if they are innocent, I must forgive. Because it makes sense, and you will have a compassion in your heart, because we are all the same in that way. So Gabriel was also talking about the idea of using permission, self-permission to be who you are. And that's the same as giving the permission, as we talked about earlier, for other people to be who they are if they're choosing the third dimensional option. Be exactly as you are. Your addictions, your struggles, your mistakes, all these flaws or imperfections, you're loved anyway. Gabriel was saying you are loved anyway. The divine eyes of truth know that you are perfect anyway. There's this crazy truth here. There's this crazy truth on this planet that we are all love. Everything is love and loved already, and everything is sacred and perfect already. And it is very challenging for us to integrate that in a meaningful way, to not just say it, but actually live it and understand it and see it as our truth. But that's the option. What we begin to see is it's a choice, the perspective I'm having on myself or others. Am I seeing with the divine eyes of the truth of reality? The truth of reality. Or am I in my human beliefs that something's wrong here, that this isn't okay, that this isn't a perfect, wise unfoldment of the universe before me? And again, I think that people run into, oh, that means I'm saying it's okay. You're not saying it's okay. You're saying that beneath all the unokayness, there is something perfect here. And when we honor and respect that, we can move through experience, looking for the teaching that's here, looking for the love that's here, the wisdom that's here, the sacred higher purpose for it, so that we let it flow, we no longer resist, and so we're no longer suffering. When we push against experience because we want it to be different, we are suffering. And so self-forgiveness is actually about dissolving that self-resistance, pushing against who you are, giving yourself permission to be, and also the same for those outside of you, giving permission for them to be, because they are, and you are, and we have flaws, I have flaws, you have flaws. My fighting that only hurts me. It's painful. So I want to practice stepping into my divine perspective with the knowing that there is a sacred truth and unfoldment here. Gabriel was also speaking about identity, to remember our identity that is beyond the thoughts and emotion. He's talking about letting yourself be this rooted in the formless, beyond what is always only rising and falling within us. That our sense of self, we want to move it from I'm Becc and I'm fill in the blank to I'm a spiritual being here. You are a spiritual being. Everyone else is a spirit being. We are all spirit beings. I was at the mall the other day practicing this and looking at everyone, and I was just like, whoa, there are like thousands or hundreds of spirits around me right now. Like that one's eating an apple, that one is like crying to their mom, just playing with it to help it integrate. And it's very interesting and cool, and it becomes more of a tangible reality for the mind when you do that kind of perspective shifting. So I really recommend that. Gabriel was wanting us to remember that we are the expression of the God force. That's who you are. That's who everybody is. Everyone you don't like, that's who they are. He was saying that to utilize, what would you be, who would you be if you were already forgiven? What would it be like if you were already forgiven? Let yourself play with that. What would it be like? Practice, I am forgiven. I am forgiven. Someone forgave me. Play with it. How does that feel? What does that do to your body or your energy? I know for me, I feel a freeness, a lighter feeling. If I settle into it and I build it, I'm no longer trying to accomplish or be anything. I just am, and I flow with what I feel. And if I can do that, I can remember that I am divine perfection in any wave that arises, and outside of us any wave that arises. It is divine perfection. This is our ascension. This is us stepping into fifth dimensional consciousness through the heart. Through every fear is you. It's like the fear's here, and then I see it like I have a chance to grab another piece of my heart and pull it in. And before I didn't have that chance, because my attention wasn't brought to it because there wasn't that fear experience yet. That is what I just said is kind of the perfect synopsis of what this whole hologram reality, its purpose is. So utilize the attention, the way that your focus is pulled by your life experience. What is it saying to you? What is it bringing to you? And let yourself unfold that heart energy around whatever you're experiencing. And that way we integrate light. So as challenging as it has been, and it will probably continue to be, I'm kind of also really excited for us because we are in a magical time of evolution. Like, this is humanity's evolution. And the Star Council really invite us to remember who we are through the heart. Remembering that we can have a practice. Their main thing is to have that practice of coming back to your heart. Always coming back and always forgiving yourself when you be human and you have conditioning that does stuff, and other people are human and are afraid. Some people are afraid of their heart, It is very difficult for the mind. When we heal, the mind doesn't want to, because it will lose its sense of identity of who it was before, and it will have to become its divinity. And the people who are resisting the healing in that way, it's a survival mechanism. We are really asking a lot of ourselves. We are really asking a lot of the mind and the ego. We have to pull away from that survival mechanism, just kind of be like, okay, this is here, and let ourselves dissolve into something else. No wonder it's challenging. No wonder we struggle to forgive each other. But we can and we will. Thank you for joining me. This has been beautiful. I'm really glad to connect with you. Please leave comments. I'm really curious about your experiences, if you've had any with the Star Council, the Pleiadian Sirians, and also how you've been going with this sense of divide I know we're all feeling. What's your experience been like? I really would love to hear that and learn from you as well. So I'll see you soon.